It's a Tuesday afternoon and your phone buzzes. $20 gone. 10 minutes later, it buzzes again, another 20, different app. Then a third charge you'd honestly forgotten you signed up for. 3 payments you sliced apart weeks ago, so you'd never feel them all at once, and here they are, landing in the same hour anyway. The money stings, sure. But the strange part is this: not one of those purchases felt like spending when you made it. Everyone felt like a shrug, and that's not an accident. Somebody built it to feel that way on purpose. And by the end of this, you're going to know exactly how and why you keep reaching for it. So rewind a few weeks to the moment each of those charges was actually born. And start with the thing that got switched off in your head. Back in the 90s, a researcher named Ofer Zellermeyer gave it a name that sounds almost too simple. The pain of paying. His idea was that handing over money isn't a neutral mathematical act. It hurts a little, a tiny sting, every single time, and the sting is the whole point. A few years later, 2 economists, Drazen Perlek and George Lowenstein, wrote the paper that made the idea stick. They argued your brain runs spending and pleasure on the same wire. The joy of the new thing and the ache of losing the money arrive together, tangled up. And the ache is what keeps you from buying everything you see. For a long time, this was just a nice theory. Then the brain scanners showed up. At Stanford University, Brian Knutson put people inside an fMRI machine and let them shop while he watched their brains in real time. When somebody saw a price that felt too high, a spot deep in the brain called the insula lit up. That same region handles physical pain, the flinch you get from a bad smell or a burn. Your brain was treating an overpriced sweater a little like a threat. And the researchers found they could actually predict whether you'd buy, just by watching that flinch fire or stay quiet. So paying is a small, real, measurable pain. Which raises an obvious question. If it hurts, why does anyone hand over money at all? Because normally the pain and the pleasure show up at the same moment. You feel the loss right as you get the thing, and your brain does a quick, honest gut check. Worth it or not? Now watch what happens when you break those two apart. Perlek, that same economist, ran a study with a colleague at MIT named Duncan Simster. They auctioned off tickets to a sold-out Boston Celtics game. Some bidders had to pay cash. Some could pay by credit card. Same tickets, same game, same crowd of fans. The credit card bidders offered up to twice as much, double, for the exact same seat. Not because the card had better numbers on the receipt, but because the card moved the pain somewhere else, off into a statement that wouldn't land for weeks. The sting got delayed, so the gut check never really happened. And people bid like the money wasn't real yet. That's a plastic card doing that. Now build a product whose entire job is to delay the sting and dress it up as a favor. That's buy now, pay later. Klarna out of Sweden, Afterpay out of Australia, Affirm here in the States. Pay in 4. 0 interest if you're on time. It looks like a payment plan, and technically it is one. But sit with what it's actually doing to your head. It takes that $80 flinch, the one that would have made you pause, and it slices it into 4 soft little pieces and scatters 3 of them into the future where you can't feel them yet. Today you only pay 20. Today barely hurts at all. And a flinch you can't feel is a flinch that can't stop you. You can watch this play out in the numbers stores don't even hide, because they're bragging about them. When a shop adds one of these Pay in 4 buttons at checkout, the average order size goes up. People put more in the cart. They finish more purchases instead of bailing at the last screen. The retailers know this cold, which is exactly why they pay these companies a cut to sit at the register. That button earns its spot because it works on the part of you that's supposed to say no. And here's where the 4 little pieces get their teeth. That first 20 feels free, so the number in the cart stops mattering. You're not deciding whether you can afford $80 anymore. You're deciding whether you can afford 20 today, right now. Of course you can. So the sweater goes in the cart, and so do the shoes on a different app, another 20 a week. And the headphones, each one on its own, is a shrug. Nobody's tracking the pile. Until 4 different Fridays quietly collide. Which is the buzzing phone you started this video with? The payments you split up, so you wouldn't feel them, showed up in the same week anyway. The pain didn't disappear when you split it. It just moved out of the store, where it might have stopped you, and into your Tuesday afternoon, where it can only make you wince. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau took a hard look at all this a couple of years back and found the people leaning on these plans the most were often the ones already juggling other debt. Which makes a grim kind of sense. The tool that makes spending hurt less gets used the hardest by the people who most need the hurt to work. So none of this means the little box is evil or that you can never tap it. Sometimes splitting a real, planned purchase is genuinely useful. And going in knowing that is the whole game. Just know what it's actually selling you. Not a discount, not free money. It's selling you numbness, the tiny ache that was quietly protecting your wallet. Gone for a few weeks, for a small fee somebody's collecting off to the side. So the next time that box slides up from the bottom of the screen and turns $80 into 4 easy payments of $20, notice the thing that just went quiet in your head. That little flinch you didn't feel, that was the part of you doing the math. Somebody figured out how to switch it off. The least you can do is switch it back on.